Hey guys, I look pretty ragged today, don't I? I don't know, my hair is just nuts. Anyways, I was gonna make just one video today, but it looks like I'm gonna be making two tonight. There's gonna be one I'm gonna record right after this one, because a few of you have been asking me to expound on my views on the whole internet being taken over by corporations and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll oblige you. Besides, it is fair for me to continue on that because that was the third point of my last vid to the political piss take guys. So, yeah, I'll do that. The other one was going to be on, what was it? Why am I forgetting his name? No, Hintaga. I was about to say Hinata, but I knew that was wrong. It's Hintaga. He had a really cool video on the influence of religion. You guys should check out his channel. He only has 2 videos up, but they're worth checking out anyway, because he's got some interesting points to present. He's got some good things to say, and you can tell he has a lot of passion in what he says, so it's worth checking out. I'll put the link up, and I'm going to respond to his video next. But let me get on with this. I'm able to waste a few time. I'm able to waste a little bit of time on this because actually what I have to say in the net is not all that much. I doubt it's going to fill up 10 minutes, but then again, it's me, so who knows? All right. Just in case you guys are watching the political piss take guys, in case you guys are watching this, I'll address this to you. But of course, anyone else watching this, yeah, it's to you guys too. The internet being more or less taken over. You guys have basically said that not only is the net pretty much controlled by corporations, but it has been from the get-go. Not necessarily. I think that in the beginning, they weren't necessarily completely controlled yet. Keep in mind that the net was being run more or less by the hacker community in the very beginning. I'm not talking about when the net got popular. I'm talking about when it was first being used, way back, when people hadn't even thought that there was going to be anything like DSL or cable running things. Like when we were on modems, and if you had a 56K modem, you were the man. I'm talking about like that long ago. It was like even less than that. There weren't that many big name people providing internet service back then. I mean, either you knew how to get on the net or you didn't. And if you were lucky enough to spend tons of money to get the big deal pipes, you were able to get on. The only companies I can think of that was really making a name for itself for providing internet service at that time was AOL. And if you knew anything about computers, and if you were any way computer savvy at all, the last thing you wanted on your computer was AOL. I mean, it's a joke to me even to this day, but that's a rant for another time. But, I mean, I remember all these little upstart companies presenting internet service, and none of them was the phone company. I mean, if you know how to get on the net through the phone line, you just got on and that was it. You know, either you're going to pay somebody for the service, or if you knew what the hell you were doing, you can get it for free. Hell, to be honest, I did this legitimately. I didn't do this illegally, because I know a few people were doing this illegally. But quite frankly, I was able to get online for free before I ended up starting to pay for. I never paid for dial-up. Let me just say it that way. I never ever once paid for dial-up. And in those days, corporations didn't really control much. I mean, yeah, for certain big deal sites and stuff like that, yeah, I'm pretty sure there was corporate funding, and slowly but surely phone companies and communications companies and cable companies were beginning to sink their claws in. But there weren't big deals like Amazon.com. There was no iTunes. There was no YouTube. There wasn't any big deal. Google, Microsoft was just beginning to get on things. Netscape wasn't exactly a big deal company. I mean, there was all these little guys trying to grab their piece of the pie, and it wasn't completely controlled yet. The net was a wild frontier, and it was a fun frontier. Nowadays, yeah, these days, you want to get online, you pretty much either go through a phone company, or go through a telecommunications company, cable company, whatever. The government's trying to censor things here and there, and everywhere you look, everything's corporate controlled. You want to buy something on the net, it's from a big corporation. You want to, like me, I'm putting my stuff on YouTube. YouTube itself is a huge company bought out by Google, which now owns it, and they've gotten huge. So it looks like things it looks like, oh my God, it's a losing battle now. They're going to censor us soon. There's nothing we can do about it. How are we going to get on? But you forget, there's still certain wild pockets of the net that aren't necessarily controlled by the big deal corporations. As I said before in the last video, what about BitTorrent? They would love, let's put it this way, if the net was completely controlled by corporations, record companies would not still be bitching and moaning about piracy. Movie companies would not still be bitching and moaning about piracy, okay? but it's still a big deal, and it's still being traded back and forth. And those of you watching YouTube, you know who you are. You know you pirate, okay? I'm not saying it's evil or bad or whatever. I'm just stating what is, okay? Things like BitTorrent wouldn't exist. Things like Shiraza wouldn't exist. Things like Kaza, if that still is around. I mean, you've got all these things, and that's just one pocket. And we still, like, if you want to talk more about more important things like news outlets, they're still around. I mean, yeah, we got a few news outlets which operate through YouTube because this is a popular medium. They put their stuff on there. But then you got websites totally dedicated just to putting out independent news sources. They're not corporate controlled. They get their money through, you know, public sponsorships, you know, through contributions, or they make it out of their own pockets. What about internet radio, where we listen to our music from? Many of those aren't, you know, corporate controlled. Like, for instance, there's an online radio thing I love listening to, Groove Salad. I'm trying to remember the website. There's a whole bunch of them. Groove Salad's one of them. I love Groove Salad internet radio. It's a great place for music. RagaJungle.net. That's I think it's .com. Sheesh, I haven't been in a while. Like, or bassdrive.com. Like, these are different. They're just music, but they're not corporate control. They're all independent control. So you still got these spaces on the net that are still independent. Will they still be independent for long, or will you know, are they going to get bought out, or are they going to end up crashing and burning because of being taken over? Who knows? But that all depends on the people supporting them, of course. Now, I'm bringing this up because for those who want to quote unquote take back the net, as long as you got outlets like this, that means there is a chance for you guys to do what you want to do and form little communities and try to make them popular. And it's going to be hard work, don't get me wrong, it's an uphill battle, but you haven't completely lost the front yet. And what about this so-called move to this so-called Internet 2 that's supposed to be upon us by the year 2012 or 2010? It's supposed to be this, you know, super duper internet. Things will get downloaded super fast and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the catch with it is that the governments and the corporations are supposedly going to limit what websites you can see. And the Comcast, I think it was some dude from Comcast who declared that the internet is dead. There's so much piracy going on in servers. They're just going to let the old servers die and put new servers up for this whole Internet 2. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the old way of doing the internet is going to instantly die. All they're trying to do is the reason why he's saying that is simply so that everybody will be, oh, we got to jump on this internet too and go to this controlled shit. But that doesn't mean that the old pipelines are going to die. I mean, look at dial-up. Even though most people these days are thinking broadband, internet's all about broadband, you got tons of people who are still on dial-up. There's more people on dial-up than there are on broadband. Believe it or not. Tons of people on dial-up. And since the big corporations have left dial-up and they're supporting broadband, that means all these people on dial-up are on dial-up through smaller companies. And some of them aren't still getting the dial-up like I used to for free. And these people who are doing it are able to go wherever the hell they want to go, no restrictions. The same thing's probably going to happen to this version of the net before they jump to the internet too. You'll be able to jump on wherever you want without restrictions, because most likely the big deal companies are going to leave that behind and jump to this newer band. So that means that whoever's willing to pick up the slack can do it without restriction. It could be you. Maybe you guys, whoever's watching this, might want to think about maybe making some small upstart company in the future to provide old school DSL and old school cable broadband, whatever, for people like us who would rather get on the net without somebody telling us, no, you can't go to this site or that site. Or this corporation saying you can only go to this place or that place, or you can only buy from us or whatever. I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just throwing out an idea. I mean, yeah. I agree with you in one sense that, yeah, corporations look like they're sinking their claws into a lot of stuff, and government is censoring a lot of stuff, but it's not like things are completely hopeless. There's many wild pockets on the net that we still control, and probably will always control. And as long as we got that, then there's always a chance to keep things the way we want to. It's just going to be a tough battle to keep things free and to keep things open. That's all. Anyway, those are my thoughts. That's that. Anything else you want me to put up? Feel free to tell me. Catch you guys later.